VigilanteWilliamson here with a very simple question, and that is, what in the world's happening with Jaylen Brown? I guess we already know. He was traded to the Sixers by the Celtics for Paul George and a couple of draft picks, and it's kind of a nonsensical trade with winning, but I'm glad it happened. Not because I don't like Jaylen Brown or I like the Sixers or whatever, but if there's a point of this channel is to wake people up about the realities of sports. Not just, hey, sports are rigged, hey, gambling exists, but hey, it's a business. And NBA fans have just been slapped in the face with the reality of business. There was a reason a few years ago when they start calling the ownership governors. And no, I think they used some sort of like fake social justice reason. That wasn't the reason. It was because Adam Silver knew that private equity was coming to sports. It was already here, and it was going to get into the ownership. And so they wanted to come up with the concept of having governors, so somebody's name is on the ledger, even though these are now corporate decisions. I think the governor, quote unquote, of the Celtics is Bill Chisholm. Is that his name? But there's a lot of people. There's a massive thing. I might even play the short that shows the ownership structure, their connections to the military. Shout out to Hack Nation or whoever it is that short is from. But I'll clip it in here.
First of all, Jaylen Brown is Muslim, and he has been very actively pro-Palestine and anti-war. Meanwhile, his old bosses make the war machine hum. First of all, there's Aditya Mittal, who's the CEO of ArcelorMittal, which produces the armored steel used for combat vehicles in global war zones. Sixth Street Partners just used their tech company Boomi to push a $100 million buyout to an active duty IDF major who was very recently on the front lines in Gaza. Then you've got Bill Chisholm, who founded private equity firm STG, which invests in major military and cybersecurity contractors like Govini, Red Seal, Trellix, and Skyhigh. That's 4 companies. You've also got Israel simps like Stephen A. stoking the fire, dragging JB through the mud by making up fake stories and drama to help protect the financial interests of his pay daddies as well.
I am so surprised at this return for Jaylen Brown. He never did anything that we could see that warranted the Celtics to get rid of him in this fashion.
So if you're confused by this trade, it's because your scope is too small. Zoom out and look at the bigger picture of all the ownership investments. For a boardroom full of war profiteers, a quiet max player on crutches is infinitely safer than a healthy, outspoken rebel with a microphone.
And so, yeah, it's deeper than rap, but again, it's the beginning of private equity in sports in a major way. Now, obviously, there's been some corporate interference in sports for decades, but now we're seeing that private equity, corporate sports, and it's not just a basketball issue or football, it's the whole thing. It's college sports, pro football, baseball. I mean, goodness, look how many teams in baseball don't try. Look at how many teams in the NBA this year don't try. We're starting to realize, and even though I think this is short-lived, this will be short-lived, I can get in that maybe another video, maybe part of this video, but these franchises don't give a shit about winning. They don't care about winning. They know they'll be profitable. If they just roll the ball out there on the court, they're going to get billions in TV money. They don't have to care about winning anymore. They can care about corporate decisions when they make decisions. They don't have to make decisions based upon winning and losing. That they already win. There is no not being profitable. You used to have times in the 70s where franchises would lose money. If you didn't go to the game, they would lose money. But now with the massive TV deals, which again, I don't think are going to be there forever because television is dying, streaming is drying up. There's only so many streaming services and they only have so much money and there's only so many viewers, and that's another can of worms. I need to make a video about the death of local sports TV, the formerly Fox Sports Network turned into Bally Sports Network, and how they're no longer profitable because they can't make money off the TV rights. And I think that's coming for the national deals. And we saw some of that with the cap being a little bit less than what it once was. But even with that, where we are now, these franchises are so profitable. That's why the Celtics sold for $6 billion. That's why the Lakers sold for whatever they sold, like $8 billion or whatever it was. I'll edit it in. These franchises sell for massive amounts of dollars because they're money printers, and it doesn't matter who wins the championship. This was a fluke year with the Knicks because the Knicks hadn't won in 50 some odd years. Everyone in the Northeast watched, most of the country watched. It was one of the most watched finals in 30, 40 years or whatever it was. That's a fluke, right? And back to Jaylen Brown himself. I don't think there's a basketball legitimate reason for this trade. I don't know what happened off the field. I don't know if he was just beating up people in Boston. I doubt it. A lot has been made about Jaylen's personality. Maybe he was quote unquote too smart for his own good, which that never sounds good. Coming from the corporate structure, that always sounds like some bullshit. Listen, talking about how rigged sports is, I'm not sure if this is a part of the game or whatever, but not every team has to care about winning. A lot of franchises don't have to care about winning. The Boston Celtics don't have to care about winning. Everybody who's mad at Boston, who lives in the Boston and the New England area, who roots for the Celtics, who are upset in this moment, they're still going to go to the games. They're still going to watch the games. They're still going to buy jerseys. So their opinions don't count. That's the unfortunate world we live in. Jaylen seems like a good dude. He sounds like he wants to do positive things. I hope he does. I hope he still does them. As somebody said, he is a Muslim, and Philadelphia has a reputation for Muslims, so he might fit in that community almost a little better than Boston. I'm not sure about that. That team, if we're talking about on the court, as far as Philadelphia, definitely looks like a team that's going to contend. But Boston doesn't have to care about basketball decisions. They can make decisions. Rather, this was political because of Jaylen being a Muslim and having his issues with the Palestine situation, and there being military contractors connected to the Boston ownership. Rather, that was the issue, like the short in the beginning mentioned. Rather, it was a racial, he's an uppity Negro issue. Or rather, it was just, we want to pay less. We can pay Paul George a little less. Rather, the Boston Celtics just wanted to tank and get rid of assets, which if they do, they might as well trade Tatum too. Wouldn't shock me if Tatum gets traded in the next year or two. Because again, we see all these teams technically are past the first apron, but not the second. Nobody really wants to go past the second apron to pay and do the winning thing, right? I'm not saying that whole apron situation is even fair, because a lot of that money goes to the league and other teams. But whatever you may think, these teams do not care about winning. None of these teams in any of these sports care about winning. And listen, I'm still a Detroit fan at heart, so I get wanting your team to win, wanting the script to finally say for your team that you're going to be the champions, just like what happened with New York this year. You just want your team to win. I get that, but your ownership doesn't. So hopefully that's crystal clear to the entire diaspora, pun not intended, of sports fans. Your team doesn't care either. Just because we're seeing Boston do this, your team doesn't care. They don't care about you.
They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all.
You are just a useless eater. You are just a consumer. They don't care about you. They don't like you. They don't care about the team. The team is a money printer. Now, I think the money printer will get turned off, especially as interest starts to fade, but they don't give a shit about you. That's why teams tank. That's why teams don't put the full effort into winning. These teams don't care. They already are profitable, so why spend more money, cut into that profit just to win an arbitrary game? There's gambling. There's merchandising. The merchandise has gotten significantly less in quality since Fanatics has been involved. They charge whatever for the prices of food and parking and everything. It is a monopoly. It is an antitrust issue that the government will never deal with. You pay for the stadiums as far as tax dollars go. It is a scam. Sports are a scam. I still love them for some dumbass reason, just like you. So I'm not trying to bash you like there's something wrong with you, but I want everybody to realize this is a fucking scam. And this trade is indicative of that scam. So if you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. Even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night. God bless. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.